We continue our conversation on policing in the 21st century with Chris Gramiccioni, who is the acting Monmouth County Prosecutor, and you have the President's report here sitting in front of you. And so I'd like to talk about that in a moment, but I want to continue on the conversation we were just having. And the gentleman Clifford, who was putting together the protest in Newark about policing in particular and police brutality. He made one point that I think is maybe the biggest problem, and that is that police departments protect their own, even when their own is wrong. When they have a police officer that steps over their bounds, there seems to be this wall around them and other police protect them. Until that comes down, I don't think we can move forward, do you?
I don't. I think one of the biggest concerns is what you just outlined. There is a perception that across every police department or across every law enforcement agency that exists, there's an immunity of sorts for officers who commit some kind of wrongdoing. I'm trying to break down those concerns and let the public know in my county, in Monmouth County, that that's not how we roll. Now, there's nobody that has that immunity. There's nobody that's above the law. I spent a career with the U.S. attorneys prosecuting elected and public officials to include police officers, and that's not going to happen on my watch. And I oversee all of my police departments in Monmouth County. And if I find out that that's going on, then there's going to be an investigation afoot. So if I could have any message to my community in the county, is that that is not going to be something that we tolerate.
Let's talk about this report now. What did you take from that you think is going to be beneficial in Monmouth County?
Well, there was 6 pillars that were outlined. I think the most important one by far is building trust and integrity in the community. That's something that we in Monmouth constantly are thinking about. Day after day, we understand that that is the key to successful community policing. And that trust starts with a number of things. Open communications, relationships in the community, not just coming in to do an investigation and leaving, but building those relationships. That includes an initiative we rolled out yesterday, the deployment of body-worn cameras, which I think will help further raise the integrity that people have with our police departments. All of these things in combination are designed to do one thing, and that's to continue to have people in the community gain trust in their law enforcement agencies.
Because there's 2 sides to this, are there not? It's not just the police having more respect for those in African American communities, but it's also for those in the community to have more respect for police. Many of the cases that have risen to national headlines has been with somebody running away or disrespecting a police officer. That's how the interaction often starts. So what you're talking about in these community relations has to work 2 ways.
It does, but at the end of the day, I'm telling our police when I go to graduations and I give the new recruits advice, I'm telling them that, remember, you work for them, they don't work for you. We have to have broad and strong shoulders. Sometimes people might be disrespectful. Sometimes people not like us. That's okay, we can tolerate that. If it escalates into something that is a safety concern, that's a different story. But I'm training our police officers, try to foster these relationships. It's important, but if you can't, look for the 2-way street, but sometimes it won't be there.
And remember, respect breeds respect, does it not?
It
so
does.
If you respect someone, they're going to respect you more.
Yes, sir, that's right.
Let's talk about one last thing because we're running out of time, and
okay.
I apologize.
No, not at all.
These body cameras that people are talking about, that the police are supposed to have on, do you think that's a good idea?
I do. It was my idea. I thought about it 6 or 8 months ago. Of course, after reading a lot of circulars and understanding what the environment is going on across the country, I think that it's a win-win for everyone. I think because it will increase the level of trust and credibility that police officers have with the community. I think it will resolve citizen internal affairs complaints quicker. It'll either determine if there's an officer that committed misconduct, we'll determine that sooner rather than later with a body camera, or if it's a frivolous claim, we can quickly debunk it and get that officer back into his or her position.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming in. Would like to also come back and would like to hear about the program and how much it's worked, if you've seen a reduction. I imagine that's why you have a pilot program in the first place.
We want to work out the kinks before we make a countywide policy and figure out if there's any change that needs to be made, make it then before we finalize it and implement it.
Chris Gramiccioni, the acting Monmouth County Prosecutor. When we come back, Dawn talks with a visionary who's building a new adult playground in Atlantic City.